Welcome back, and we're talking, or we're going to actually we started talking about Ramses the Great, talking about his achievements and many of the temples and monuments that tell us more about King Ramses with our guest, Mr. Ihab Kamel.
Well, Ramses II, he is considered to be the most famous pharaoh. We were talking earlier about Tutankhamun, but Tutankhamun, he's famous abroad because of his tomb and his collection, and his tomb was the first to be found intact. But Ramses II had always captured the attention of the whole world, especially after the American cinema industry introduced that character in the famous movie of Cecil DeMille, The Ten Commandments, and everybody kept wondering Ramses and the rumors about he might be the pharaoh of the Exodus and all of that. So for the West, it was a character that was extremely intriguing. Who is this man? Why he is so special? The answer is very simple, because wherever you go in Egypt, you'll see the name of Ramses II. He is the greatest builder in ancient Egypt. Regardless what they say, that he had restored ancient monuments and he took this as an excuse to put his cartouche, or he had usurped other kings' monuments, that's absolutely incorrect. I would attribute to him one great architectural achievement, Abu Simbel. Abu Simbel, it's by all means something extremely impressive that impresses every
Actually,
visitor.
it is impressive as an Abu Simbel temple, and also the way that it was moved from one place to the other. So from all angles, yes, it was impressive.
The whole story
yes.
is unbelievable. The whole story is impressive, either in the ancient times or the modern times. Look at the Karnak Temple. The Karnak Temple, the great colonnaded court, it was done by Seti I and Ramses II. Seti I, when he died, he hardly decorated half of the colonnaded court, while Ramses II completed it, decorated it, and now after they had removed the soot from the walls, you'll be really seeing the beauty of the Karnak. Ramses II did not leave a place without a monument, all the way from the Nile Delta further in the north, all the way up to Nubia in the north in Sudan. So, and his story, his life ruling for 67 years, having this huge number of children, about 111, marrying all these wives from different parts of the ancient world. The first peace treaty in history,
yes,
that was signed with King Khatushilish, the king of the Hittites, and which, by the way, we have the Egyptian copy, and they discovered in Anatolia, in the Anatolian cliffs, the cuneiform written copy of it in Turkey, which by all means that makes him a very special king.
Sir, talking about just having such fairs in the United States and in other countries, displaying some of the most important pieces, telling more about the ancient history and culture. How important it is, and how can it attract more visitors?
Well, the United States had always been an important market for the Egyptian tourism. As a matter of fact, not only because it's a different clientele, different type of clientele, but also because the American traveler is the traveler of the cultural tourism, which is our most precious product.
It's our competitive advantage.
Competitive advantage and the most profitable, because the logistics are so many. And this is our brand, whether some people like it or not. Our brand is the pyramids, the Sphinx, Tutankhamun. This is our heritage. Our brand as a traveler's destination is not the beach. It's always the ancient Egyptian civilization. This is our brand since a very long time, since Thomas Cook had started the group's tourism in the 19th century to Egypt, building the first steamer. So basically, the United States is considered to be a difficult market and an easy market. Difficult because it's far away. And for a very long time, we did not have enough airlines that would connect Egypt to North America. Starting from the early 2000s, we started to concentrate on the North American market. But earlier before that, we used to have lots of fairs and lots of exhibitions over there to create a kind of awareness to the American traveler. But the problem that the American traveler used to face all the time was the airlines. So I remember we used to have only Cairo, New York. Then later on, they introduced Cairo, LA. After the 9/11, Cairo, LA stopped, but now we have Cairo, Washington and Cairo, New York. So more American travelers had started coming because you need to implement practical steps to bring the traveler to Egypt. How he's going to come, I can't really depend on bringing him, coming to Europe for transit 6 or 7 hours. And nowadays, we have Cairo, Toronto. So I believe that North America is very potential. We only had succeeded in bringing 25% of what we should bring from there. You're talking about a big market, which is more than 400 million living over there, who study the history of ancient Egypt in primary school. So you don't need even a paid campaign over there. It's part of the children's curriculum. When you always say Egypt, yes, they will know Egypt. They know Egypt. They know the pyramids. They know Egypt at least from the Hollywood movies in the past. So I think it's easy to bring travelers from there. The only difficulty, we need more airline connection. We need also to understand the structure of the United States market, because it's an ethnic community. When you talk about the United States, which United States are you going to be talking about or heading for those who are from European origins, or Hispanics, or African Americans, or the Arab Americans or Middle Eastern Americans? That's why the American market, it's very special. It needs a very profound study to know which ethnic group you're going to be targeting. But when it comes to exhibitions, exhibition targets everybody, I'm sure. But we also have to talk to these ethnic groups with their own language. I mean, you would go, for example, to a state like Texas. In Texas, you have a big Hispanic community. You hear Spanish as much as you hear English. So you need to have the campaign in both languages, English and Spanish, and so on. But I believe that the American market, or the North American market, it's a big potential. Mexico is a big potential because simply we did not really tackle that market yet, especially that the standard of living in Mexico is very high. So North America can be a gold mine, especially that nowadays Egypt is a very affordable destination. Look at the exchange rate for all the travelers worldwide, and I'm talking, and especially the North Americans. Egypt will be an excellent value for the money that they're going to pay. And I know what I'm talking about. They're going to get much, much more than what they paid.
Let me say also that when we talk about Egypt, we have to say that yes, Egypt has it all. As you mentioned in the beginning, we have the recreational tourism, we have the culture and history, and definitely culture and history can never be found elsewhere. So if we're talking about this in particular and talking also about all the developments that took place in Upper Egypt, especially Luxor, and all the routes that were opened, like the Sphinx route and others, and talking about the temples, and we are approaching the COP27 as well. In the United States, the foreign press talking a lot about the achievements that took place in Egypt, talking a lot about Egyptian preparations for the COP27 and the achievements that took place as well in Luxor. So now we are working on Luxor as to be a must-seeing site for anyone who's visiting Egypt.
Yes, I believe that this is an opportunity which we need to use very well. First of all, Egypt in general, it's one of the very few winter destinations worldwide. If you count the winter destinations worldwide, they're not many. Maybe Dubai in the Gulf, Oman, but it's not the favorite destination of the European or the American traveler, or even to have a repeater. Although they're doing a very good job and the numbers are a big witness. But still, the product is not rich. That's why they always try to do events and organize events and things like that to attract the travelers, and 80% of their tourism, it's Arabic tourism. But in here, I have several advantages which I need to use. First, the variety and the beauty and richness of the product itself. Culture. Weather. The weather is suitable for at least 8 or 9 months. And as I said, the winter destinations are not many. I believe that this is also a big advantage because I believe that Europe is going to have a very cold winter, especially with the problems going worldwide regarding energy. But this is not enough. That's why I found that we took a very important step which not many people are paying attention to, which is preserving the environment. Organizing the COP, changing to green economy. All this will attract more travelers because as much as the world is changing, there's also a great awareness growing about the environment. And if this destination is healthy or not, healthy for our children to go to, because you have
So we're talking about the ecotourism and
not only ecotourism, but changing the infrastructure to preserve the environment. This will attract also a sector in the market, which are the families that has children. So basically, what I'm saying is that everything we do, it is in the favor of tourism, because without infrastructure, there's no tourism. How? Without any roads, or the travelers get stuck in a traffic jam. And by the time they get to their destination, I've seen this, I've been in this business for 30 years. How many times I've been stuck in traffic, and by the time I got to my destination, to the sightseeing, it was closed and the people missed it. Nowadays, this is not an issue. So everything and every development in the infrastructure, it helps tourism, it enhances the numbers, it attracts lots of people. We only miss one thing, that we should create an awareness among the Egyptians and among the media producers, I'm sorry, about the importance of the traveler, that he is a guest.
But I think in some of the tourism areas, they already know, and maybe today things are a little bit, are completely different from the past. If you are describing people in the areas, now we can see, for example, the Giza Pyramids Plateau. I think things changed a lot.
I'm not talking about the touristic areas. The people over there, this is their business. They
Yes.
are more keen on the traveler than anyone else.
More than whoever.
Exactly. I'm talking about the whole people. It would become a general awareness to change into a touristic country. For a very long time, the media and the movies had been talking about that this tourist is like a simple-minded person. We can easily trick him and get some money out of him.
It's not anymore. It is very much sophisticated now.
It hasn't been like that ever. It's just a stereotypical picture that had been put in the media, which made the people either think of the traveler either as, excuse my language, but as somebody who is stupid and he doesn't know anything and it's easy to trick him into to get money from him, or someone who's immoral. All this has to change, because without this we will not get to the numbers that we're talking about. How do you think France gets 80 million travelers? Do all of them come through organized tours, through travel agents and travel companies? No. Only 25 to 30% comes like that. The rest, individuals. Why? Because the whole population is prepared and is aware of the importance of this traveler to their own economy and how it reflects personally on them, because tourism, it's the only source of income that comes directly and reflects directly on the people. The traveler, when he spends in a restaurant, everybody in the restaurant gets benefit. When he even buys a bottle of water, and it's an easy
Well,
money.
actually, a lot of people are affected by this. We have people in tourism in particular. We have those who are directly affected and indirectly affected. It's a huge market. I think everyone is going to be affected, just as you mentioned. Even the taxi driver, the supermarket, as you mentioned, the hotel, the workers in the hotel, everyone. And maybe when we talk about tourism and promoting tourism, the most important part is the repeater guest.
The repeater guest.
The word of mouth.
The word of mouth, the linking the country always to happy memories, or to happy, or what we say...
to be a nice experience.
A nice experience, and also the country being linked for important events, for positive images. I'm very impressed and I'm very happy that we're organizing so many sports events. And this is covered by lots of TV stations and lots of media channels. And as a matter of fact, I believe that this is a free campaign. And it's more accurate and more important than paid campaigns, because the paid campaign is known that it's a paid campaign. I remember in 2019, I was watching the BBC and they were talking about the African Nations Cup. And I couldn't believe that who's talking about us that well is the BBC. This had helped in changing the negative image in the back of the mind of the receptor. Worldwide, people had started saying...
That's why we always say in tourism, usually people, especially individuals, when they search for a place, they always search for the feedback, for the word of mouth, because it is an unpaid way of marketing.
Yes, and it's real.
Right.
That's what's most important. It's real.
Yes. Mr. Ihab Kamel, thank you very much for joining us for today. And I guess with this, we are moving on to a quick break and we'll be back.